Sweet Jesus, he's triplets. For more on Boehner, I'm joined by Democratic strategist, syndicated columnist Karl Frisch. Karl, good evening.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
So to quote Fred Willard, what happened? I mean, did Boehner get smart or did he just get scared?
Well, I think he's frightened. But let's remember, this is a manufactured crisis, manufactured in large part by people like Speaker Boehner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's come to reality in no small part because of his meetings with the White House. But he keeps on saying over and over again, there are some people who think that we can go past August 2nd. Those some people are called the Republican caucus. And it's if he wants to get this done, he better be talking to his caucus.
Yeah, what happens now to all those Republicans, including the ones in leadership in the House who stand there with him at the press conferences, who said, as he did, the August 2nd deadline is a figment of Tim Geithner's imagination?
Well, I'm glad that they're into mind reading in the Republican caucus, but, you know, the leadership of the Republican House has people like Eric Cantor, who stands to make a windfall of money if we don't increase the debt ceiling. And this is really a default crisis that has been manufactured, I believe, by the Republicans so that they can keep the president and Democrats in the Senate, in the House, from doing anything else before the elections. Remember, Mitch McConnell said his biggest goal in the Senate was to defeat Obama in 2012. If they can continue to do this, if they can continue to strangle the economy, they believe that they will have a better shot at doing that.
A little something else about Boehner in a moment, but you mentioned Eric Cantor, and we've got to follow up on that. The Huffington Post reported that the House Democrats are circulating a resolution that would accuse Cantor of owning shares in a fund that bets against U.S. government bonds. I mean, obviously his ownership of these shares is not in question. That's part of his financial disclosure forms. But I mean, is it really the case that if the debt ceiling is not raised and there's some uncertainty, or the U.S. credit line drops in terms of its quality, he makes cash off of this?
Well, his fund increases in value, and it's because he's betting basically against government bonds. And when government bonds, you know, are not appreciating the way that they should, he's going to make more money off of that. So he can easily cash out and take some money. But this is not unusual for Republicans. They often bet against the government. They campaign against the government, and then when they get into power, they show us how effective they are at not doing well by the government.
Back to Boehner. For months there have been expectations that at some point the right's corporate underwriters, John Boehner is brought to you by the Chubb Group, would say, you've had your fun, you've gotten your political points, you've scared your base, don't mess with our markets. Did what Boehner say today kind of signal that the moment has come, that the moment was today, that he's gotten the message from his insect overlords?
I think that's a big part of what's going on here. I mean, corporate America does not want to see this happen, and they certainly don't want to see it happen because it's likely to trigger much of what we went through in 2008, 2009. And that was hard enough to come back from. You know, we did the stimulus. It wasn't enough to get things really going, but it saved us from a world of hurt. And there's some that think that this is hurting our job growth as well. And we can't give any confidence to corporate America that we're ready for more jobs and more hiring if we're not meeting, you know, our debts. The LA Times reported that this Congress has done less than the do-nothing Congress during Harry Truman. I don't think that they're the do-nothing Congress. They're looking more and more like the deadbeat Congress.
Last point, and it's about the president. You heard a soundbite at the beginning of this report that indicated that he was talking in terms of we have to restore businesses' confidence so that they can add payroll. It sounded exactly like the Republican talking point about the Bush tax cuts. Sure. Where did that come from? Where is the president? Is he just, once again, smarter than the rest of us and playing a game we don't even see yet? Or is there something seriously wrong that we need to worry about?
Well, I'm not privy to his meetings internal, but
Sure.
it sounds like he's trying to use his language to triangulate, at least in the press. You know, if he's the one talking about job growth, if he's the one talking about, you know, the free markets, I think he's a leg up on Republicans who, at this point, are basically arguing that we don't have to pay our debts. I mean, many of our debts are foreign. This is the Republicans taking their xenophobia one step further than I think anybody thought they could.
You stupid foreigners, you loaned us money. We'll show you. Democratic strategist
Right.
Karl Frisch. Thank you, Karl. Have a good weekend.
You too.